Microtransactions. Are they bad? Depends really. Microtransactions started as early as 1990 with the arcade version of Double Dragon 3. Yes, the quote-unquote plague started that early, but how did it exactly work? The arcade version had shops in which a player could insert coins to buy items, characters or power-ups. Kind of a pay-to-win but more acceptable since it's the 90s. Anyways, this trend continued to early 2000s with browser games like Habbo Hotel or Second Life, which in September of 2005 earned its developers $3.5 million. And what did they sell that it sold like crack? Virtual furniture, emotes and other dumb shit, since Second Life is a VR chat before VR chat existed. But what does exactly count as a microtransaction? To put it bluntly, everything that is bought for real money and gives us content in the game. It can be a skin or a battle pass or any kind of that purchase. The games with microtransactions are split into two categories: premium and, as I like to call it, extra premium. Premium experiences are free games filled with in-game purchases. A premium experience doesn't necessarily mean a bad experience. Just look at Fortnite, Valorant, League of Legends, or maybe any other popular competitive games. Whether you like them or not, they have a good microtransaction model. Instead of giving players advantages, they sell skins which are purely cosmetic and don't give any advantages. This is a perfect approach towards it, since you don't have to pay to have an advantage or become better at it. On the opposite side of the wall, we have freemium games that are pay to win. As the name states itself, you have to pay with real money to become better or gain advantage over other players. Without paying in these games, you can't really progress unless you spend enormous amounts of time or money. Thankfully, this phenomenon mostly occurs within the mobile game bubble, although some PC and console titles like Warframe or World of Tanks are pay to progress, and I specifically chose these two because one is good and the other is shit with its model. Warframe is an MMO which focuses mostly on PvE experience. This way, it doesn't really harm anyone, and the premium currency can be earned by trading with other players. World of Tanks, on the other hand, is a PvP game, which means that you fight other players, so you have to either suffer through having shit tanks or pay up. In my opinion, it's quite predatory, but considering these games are free and depend on microtransactions to keep the servers running, it's not that bad. At the end of the day, you choose if you want to play it and spend money on it, so it's up to you to decide which model of microtransaction suits you. I mentioned extra premium before. By extra premium, I mean games that cost money and include microtransactions. Now, does that mean that paid games that have them are bad? Not necessarily. Games like Deep Rock Galactic and Helldivers 2 are games that you pay for and include in-game purchases, and it doesn't make them bad. In fact, they need this money to keep the servers running and produce more content. Deep Rock makes it work by letting players obtain most of the cosmetics for free by playing the game. But if you happen to enjoy the game and want to drop some cash for the developers and get something in return, you can buy a cosmetic DLC. There's nothing apart from cosmetics in the DLC section, so you're not required to buy it unless you feel like it. In Helldivers 2, the monetization revolves around super credits that let you buy battle passes with armors and weapons. And before you throw shit at the game, let me tell you this: super credits can be earned by just playing the game. Sure, it's gonna take you a little bit more than taking your credit card out and filling in the info, but you don't have to. All these armors, weapons and skins can be earned by just playing the game. But despite of these two games doing it right, there's a nasty side to microtransactions in fully priced games. Have you heard of games like Call of Duty and FIFA? If you live under a rock, these games release every single year with minor differences and include microtransactions. That's right, despite of paying a AAA price for a game that will stop receiving new content after a year, they include microtransactions. Both of these games have premium currencies that let you buy skins or players. Despite of them releasing every single year and raking up the cash, they still want their players to spend more money. It's quite predatory and gets even worse. Have you ever heard of this little French company called Ubisoft? They released a franchise called Assassin's Creed, and in latest releases, there's a Helix store that has microtransactions. They allow you to buy boosters to speed up the grind and armor sets that can only be accessed by paying real money. In my opinion, it's quite disgusting to include such things in a single player game. Apart from being a disgusting paywall, you get rid of this feeling of achieving something inside of a game. If a player would have to complete a questline or defeat a hard boss to get an armor set, it would feel more fulfilling than pulling out a credit card. I think it's really disgusting for these companies to put out a fully priced product that has in-game purchases. It's like spitting in the face of the customers that let them produce that shit. And I know that these purchases aren't mandatory, but it gets rid of achieving something and replaces it with a price tag and a meaningless transaction. microtransaction. As I said before, it would feel better to get an armor or a skin by completing some sort of a challenge than just paying for it. It would mean something for the player base instead of being another waste of money. Now, to answer the question from the beginning of the video, are microtransactions bad? Depends really. When it comes to free-to-play games, it's up to you to choose which microtransaction model resonates with you and feels right. But when it comes to AAA games, I think it's disgusting if the game has microtransactions. Personally, I think it's off-putting and disrespectful for a single-player game to contain such things. It's okay for these games to have DLCs with extra story and extra hours to play, but not armor that is locked behind a paywall. Let me know if you agree with what I said, and if you want to get instantly notified when a new video drops or debate with me on what I just said, you can join Discord that is in the description of the video. Hope you enjoyed, have a good day, and I'm out.